And good morning to everyone. You're most welcome here, and thanks so much for turning out. The purpose of today's briefing, as Sipho outlined, is to give an update on the city's finances, but also to speak about related issues such as the progress in responding to the findings of the Auditor General, the status on our financials, some details about the work of the Deputy Mayor, our Eskom bill, and anything really related to the financial situation of the city. So it's not really news that the city of Tshwane is in financial distress. We are very much in a similar situation to all Gauteng's metros. The difference with us, of course, is that we're pretty candid about it, because that is a precondition to fixing the problem. What is not news, or what is news, what is the most pressing news, is what we are doing about our financial situation and our prospects of success. Now, if you'd looked at the in-year financial report of the city at the beginning of this month, unfortunately, the strike had a very negative impact on our financial performance. Underbilling, under-collection, we didn't achieve the targets that we wanted to achieve. And that prompted us to go back to the drawing board and think very seriously about some bold steps that will now be required to fast-track our financial recovery and to make up on the lost ground that we've unfortunately suffered. With me, I have, and I should probably have started out that way, with me I have in political leadership, Deputy Mayor Nasipi Moya, MMC for Finance, Jackie Ace, City Manager Johan Metler, and CFO Gareth Nisi. And whatever I can't answer, they will certainly help me. So we have set a bold stretch goal for the city's financial performance. There is simply no other way to unlock the necessary resources and to drive performance than to outline exactly the outcomes of what we intend to achieve. Aside from processes and plans and so on, we want to increase revenue and reduce expenses in the city in the range of R1 billion a month over the next 6 months. We have the advantage of a 23.3 billion rand debtors book that we aim to turn into cash. If only a quarter of this debtors book, now remember this is money already owed to the municipality, if only a quarter of this 23.3 billion rand debtors book is collectible, it is collectible in the next 6 months, and that is our aim. If we succeed, we'll improve our cash flow, improve our Eskom account, as well as boost our credibility and our creditworthiness in the market. It will also buy us the time to fix longer-term problems such as tariffs and to achieve better value for money in supply chain management. If we do not succeed, and it's very important for us to mark what our goal is and the consequences for not achieving it. If we do not succeed, we'll have to make a fundamental change as to how the city does business and delivers our services in the next 6 months before the adoption of a new budget. To understand each of the aspects of Tshwane's financial rescue mission, and you'll see I like drawings here. I wanted to draw it myself, but they thought this would be better. To understand the rescue mission and each of its aspects, you can draw a target, a series of concentric circles. The outside circle represents bulk purchases from Eskom and Rand Water, and the city's other overhead expenses in delivering services to residents. The second circle represents the tariffs and the property rates levied by the municipality in order to cover those expenses, including water and electricity. The third circle represents the metering of consumption. The fourth circle represents the billing based on the metering, and the fifth and final circle represents credit control and debt collection. In other words, getting the money into the bank already owed to the municipality based on tariffs, metering, and billing of consumers so that we can cover our costs. Our performance on each of those circles impacts the subsequent circle. And so you can summarize Tshwane's financial problems as follows. The city's tariffs do not cover our expenses in delivering services, in part because those costs are too high. And I want to emphasize that. You're not going to fix the cost problem by just putting up tariffs. You are going to have to do things inside the municipality to make those costs lower, some of which we've already done. Our costs are in turn affected by factors like the productivity and compensation of our employees and the value we receive from tenders. Of the total consumers of the city services, too few are being metered due to defective meters and illegal connections. Of those whose consumption is metered, too few receive accurate bills and have their disputes resolved in time. Of the total are being billed, too few are actually paying those bills because our credit control and debt collection system is ineffective. So you can see the further you go down the line of each of these circles, the less and less money owed to the municipality actually ends up in our bank account. Now, I've gone through all of this detail simply to illustrate how we are thinking of each aspect of the city's financial position and to outline what we'll do in each of those aspects. By fixing each one of those circles, as I'd call them, of our revenue value chain, we will be able to achieve financial recovery. Some of the repairs can happen sooner, others will have to wait. Bulk purchases and tariffs will take a bit longer, but metering, billing, credit control, and debt collection, we can take action now to produce results and to buy us time to fix the other problems. Here then follows, in short, what we intend to do in each aspect of the financial rescue mission. First, reducing bulk expenses. Our bulk purchases and expenses, we believe we can save significantly if the Rooiwal power station is brought online and a deal is concluded with a private operator. We hope that this saving will be realized during the course of 2025, but of course that is contingent upon many things happening, and we need to achieve results not in 2025, but in the next 6 months. So, more conservatively, we aim to improve our bulk account by reducing the interest accrued on our Eskom debt and implementing other aspects of the recovery plan. The city has a major problem with illegal connections and metering tampering. A new TMPD unit is being established to help us focus attacks on these illegal connections in a systematic way. We've also applied to National Treasury for Eskom debt relief, and the city manager will provide an update in that regard. But let me be clear, we're not banking on this debt relief. If we get it, it will be a game changer. But we're treating it very much as a bonus at this stage, because it is something that is completely outside of our control. On tariffs, in the budget for the new financial year that starts on the 1st of July, we will ensure that these tariffs are as cost-reflective as possible. This does not mean simply putting up prices. More importantly, it means managing down our own costs. Our efforts will be focused on getting better value for money that residents pay in rates, tariffs, and charges. We've already reviewed our supply chain management policy to prefer bidders that deliver value, including original equipment manufacturers. We've made management changes in the supply chain management division. That's the place where tenders are put together and awarded. Tender awards in Tshwane will now be granted based on assessment of market prices, not simply what those who put in bids can pay compared to each other. Systems and controls in acquisition and stock management will be tightened. And we'll be looking very carefully, very, very carefully, at those officials who seek to undermine and undercut these attempts, because those would be the red flags of corruption. The integrity management framework recently adopted by the Municipal Council will allow the city manager to order lifestyle audits on officials. Further to the issue of tariffs, the city will also be running a property valuation roll in 2025. It's been delayed, but we've obtained permission to start that process, and significant progress has already been made. We believe that there are many discrepancies in property valuations. You go on to Network or to Property 24 and you check for houses that cost 14 million rand, and you see that they're paying property rates of 2,000 to 3,000 rand a month. You look at other properties available on the market and you find out that they are built on unproclaimed land. And so they're paying property rates for agricultural holdings while they should be paying property rates for high-end developments. Now, to be sure, these are anomalies. They're the exceptions. But if you count them together, they add up and they make a significant difference. On metering, the mayoral committee has approved the rollout of as many smart prepaid electricity meters as possible, and whatever scheme will get us there. We've been very explicit in our instructions. The city manager must avoid the mistakes and, yes, the outright corruption associated with a Pay-o-Tums smart meter contract. We believe this is possible with the right specifications, with the proper scrutiny, and with the right partners in the market. The short and the long of it is that prepaid metering not only allows the consumers to control their own consumption, but it also gives the city significant control on credit collection, or credit control and debt collection. And depending on the functionality and the nature of these meters, you can even apply practices such as load reduction via your meters. On billing, the city is allocating additional resources to ensure that our data is correct, that billing disputes are dealt with effectively and quickly. We'll also make sure that everyone actually gets a bill. If not online, then on their phones. The collapse of the South African Post Office means that many people who used to get bills in the mail no longer get those bills. And of course, many elderly folk go into municipal offices to get the official to write on the bill, this is what you owe. Now that is a glitch in the system, and we must make sure that we use technology, even the basic technology, even by SMS, to make sure that everybody gets a bill. Credit control and debt collection have historically been the focus of the municipality, and the Tshwane Yatima campaign that was rolled out in 2022 was very effective. Last year, our intention was to make Tshwane Yatima not just a campaign that runs for a few months, but a standard operating procedure. But of course, our efforts were undermined by the strike. It is really difficult to go on large-scale cut-offs and to run publicity campaigns to tell your consumers they must pay their bills on time if waste removal trucks are burning, if garbage is piling up, and if there's an overall crisis in the city. Those who drove the violent, unprotected strike achieved only one thing: to make the city even less capable of paying salary increases. But with the strike now behind us, the CFO is in the process of setting up a project management office to run Tshwane Yatima and all aspects related thereto. Again, all available resources, including systems and personnel, will be made available to make this project a success. Tshwane Yatima will be rolled out with even more intensity than in the past. We will be updating our credit control and debt collection toolbox, including issuing summons and taking properties of high value with arrear accounts in execution of judgment debt. Our focus will be on the top 1,000 arrear debtors. But as we work through this backlog, as we disconnect the illegal connections, as we trap those who make deals with unscrupulous contractors or employees to reconnect, we will become stricter on everyone else who owes the city money. And here is a very important argument that we have to answer. And that is, if we don't do credit control, if we don't disconnect illegal connections, we place the burden not on ourselves, but on the employees of the city. If your argument is that I don't want to pay my bill because of poor service delivery, the question becomes, who then pays your bill, especially for the water and electricity that you consume? Because that's under your control. What you use as electricity and water is under the control of consumers. If the answer is simply not to pay the bill, then you're sending that bill to your neighbor who does pay. That is fundamentally unfair. But more importantly, it is unsustainable. We have to get to the place where we ensure the policies are implemented, where those who can pay, in fact, pay, and everyone else is covered by our social safety net, a very generous quotient of free basic services for those who can't afford to pay their services, much higher than what National Treasury makes available. So, folks must pay. We have to change the culture of non-payment, but instead of crying and whining about it, we are going to take action. And we're going to face significant resistance. When we cut off, when we disconnect, there will be resistance. In an election year, politicians will try and weaponize this against the city, but we are determined to do what is right, even if it's unpopular, because the future of the city, our credibility, our creditworthiness, our ability to raise money in the bond market, to build infrastructure that serves the poor, all depends on getting this right and overturning this culture of non-payment. Services will improve, but only if we significantly increase that current 6 out of 10 consumers who pay their bills on time. So, in closing, aside from the 23.3 billion rand debtors book, which is an asset, why do we think we can succeed? There are 3 fundamental changes we've made in the past few months. We finally have a permanent CFO. You'll meet him here today for the first time. We have new management in 2 critical areas, where the money comes in, revenue management, and where the money goes out, supply chain management. And lastly, we finally have the strike behind us, and I believe we've got a very good understanding with organized labor that unless we can fix the finances and implement the difficult decisions that form part of this rescue mission, there unfortunately isn't a sunny future for any of us in the capital city. But we're convinced with these factors, with these changes, with a renewed determination that a financial rescue is possible. If it's possible anywhere, it is possible in this capital city because our political leadership is unified behind that goal. We've got strong administrative capability, and we've certainly learned from the mistakes of the past, which very often are a much better textbook or handbook for how to deal with situations than abstract knowledge. Thank you very much.